In this video, we will be discussing a few of our literary terms. We'll talk about hyperboles, personification, metaphors, similes, analogies, and theme. Make sure you have some paper and something to write with so that you can take notes. Please feel free to pause the video at any time in order to catch up. The first term we will discuss is hyperbole. Say it with me, hyperbole. A hyperbole is an extreme exaggeration used for effect. So you want to make something seem really dramatic, as in, this book weighs a ton. Does the book really weigh a ton? Probably not, because then you wouldn't be able to pick it up. Or you could say something as, I am so tired I could sleep for a year. This is another example of a hyperbole. Is anyone really going to sleep for an entire year? Chances are they won't, unless they're Rip Van Winkle, which we know that he is a fictional character made up for a children's story. Our next term is personification. This one's a fun one. This is whenever we give human characteristics to non-human things. I have two examples here. The first one is the stars danced playfully in the moonlit sky. The stars weren't actually dancing. However, maybe they were shining so brightly it looked like they were moving around, as though they were dancing in the sky. The next example is the wind howled its mighty objection. We know that wind does not actually howl, but it does kind of create that sound that maybe sounds like it's howling, but we know that only wolves and dogs and possibly humans could be howling. So these are both examples of personification. We have given human characteristics to non-human things. Our next two terms are often confused, metaphors and similes. A metaphor is a comparison between two things, such as he was drowning in paperwork. The man is not actually drowning in his paperwork, however, we're comparing his load of paperwork to that of being in an ocean and actually drowning in the water. Another example is you are a firecracker. This is not probably going to be true. No one's really a firecracker. However, they may have the energy level that of an explosion of a firecracker. Our other term is simile. It's a comparison between two things using like or as. He is as brave as a lion is a simile because it uses as. We're comparing the man to a lion using as. Same thing with she smelled like a rose. We're comparing a woman to a rose using like. So remember, similes use like or as. Metaphors just compare two things without using like or as. Our next term is analogy. An analogy is a tough one because it's another comparison just like a metaphor or simile, but it's compared to something that's quite different from it. It aims at explaining the idea or thing by comparing it to something that is familiar to us. Metaphors and similes are tools that are used to draw an analogy. Therefore, analogy is more extensive and elaborate than either a simile or a metaphor. Our example here reads, the structure of an atom is like a solar system. The nucleus is the sun, and electrons are the planets revolving around their sun. Here, the atomic structure is compared to a solar system using like. It's a simile. A metaphor is used to relate the nucleus to the sun and the electrons to the planets without using like or as. Hence, similes and metaphors are employed to develop analogies. Our final term is theme. Theme is the central idea or message a story is trying to convey to the reader. An example of this would be Tuesdays with Morrie. A possible theme could be living life to the fullest. Throughout the entire book, Morrie is trying to teach Mitch that he needs to live life to the fullest by having love, family, accepting the fact that everyone's going to die, and just living each moment as best you can. Can you think of other themes in stories that you've read? For your homework this week, I would like you to give me an example of each of the terms we just discussed. You should use the readings from class in order to answer these questions. I need an example of a hyperbole, personification, metaphor, simile, analogy, and then I would like for you to explain the theme in the poem that we're reading this week, The Raven.